Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the Canadian Multifamily Investing Insider Blog. I'm Pierre-Paul Turgeon, good to see you. Today I want to run by you some common mistakes that I see novice multifamily investors make. Last week I was somewhat frustrated with a student of mine that I was giving coaching to. The good news is the story ends well because I just got an update just minutes before I recorded this video. He's followed my advice, but I want to run by you some common mistakes that student was making. And they're mistakes I would also see novice multifamily investors make in my days at CMHC. All right, so I hope you're going to find this blog post very instructive. So first, let me give you a little bit of context about this student. This student has had a large deal under contract, quite surprisingly for a first purchase. It's a fairly large deal in an amazing booming market. We're talking about demographic growth. We're talking about low vacancies. Like, all the fundamentals are in place. It's a project that requires a bit of TLC. It needs some significant upgrades, and there's a high vacancy rate right now in the building. But so that's what we call a value add project, where you got to go in and fix the problem or the problems and basically stabilize the property, which means maximizing the performance of the asset. What else I can tell you? So that student had one investor lined up with the full amount of the capital required to get into this deal. But as I started talking to that student about, getting more details about his deal and all that, I quickly realized three mistakes that he was making. So the first one is not working with a multifamily specialist, all right, in terms of lender. Second one, being insufficiently prepared. And the third mistake that this student was making was, maybe letting his emotions and the excitement take the better of him. So I want to talk about these three mistakes. First of all, I couldn't say it often enough, right? It's in my workshops and my blog posts. The world of multifamily investing is a highly specialized world. So whoever you decide to work with, from your realtor, mortgage broker, building inspector, lender, everybody has to be a multifamily specialist. In this particular case, my student was working with a credit union. Now, I don't want to disparage credit unions, but I can tell you from my days at CMHC underwriting deals, the files that came from credit unions were usually the most ill-prepared, all right? They would go to the bottom of my pile and I'd work on the better prepared files. So what that means is, if you don't work with a multifamily specialist, it raises your level of stress. It takes longer for the lender to deal with the file because they don't have a lot of experience, all right? So not fun for you, not fun for anybody, not fun for the lender, not fun for CMHC if you're going to go CMHC insured financing, all right? So that's the first mistake that my student was making. So what I did quickly, and for some odd reason, I referred him to a mortgage broker, the same mortgage broker that had come to the workshop that he attended. And within a matter of days, that mortgage broker was able to find creative solution how to structure the deal to fit the specific circumstances of the deal. Now, by the way, if you take my workshop, you don't have to necessarily go to a mortgage broker, because I teach you how to do your own stuff. I don't use a mortgage broker. I am my own underwriter, my own mortgage broker, if you will, all right? But in circumstances where there's funky situations like that you have to deal with, a mortgage broker is certainly very, very handy, all right? So that's the first mistake he'd made. But the moment I referred him back to the mortgage broker that had attended the workshop that he also attended, things started to progress. And I'll let you, I'll tell you at the end how things have turned out, and for the better. And I just found out a few minutes ago. So that's the first thing. The second thing about being insufficiently prepared. When you take my training programs, I put a huge amount of emphasis on the planning and research phase of moving into larger investment properties such as apartment buildings of 5 or more units. Why? Because there's a thin margin for error, practically no margin for error, right? Mistakes can be very costly, and then it damages your reputation. So it requires you to do a thorough job of assessing the marketplace, getting all the stats and the property and all of that. That was somewhat lacking from that investor. He was going on a hunch, which is not always a bad thing, but in this particular case, lots of data. They were having a hard time convincing the investors to come on board fully. And despite the fact that that particular investor had all the capital required to close on the deal, all right? And as I started probing with that student, did you get pulled these stats about, you know, vacancies, comparables, and all of that, the stuff that I teach in my workshop and specifically in the planning and research module, he hadn't done that. You got to remember something. When people invest in a real estate project that you are bringing to them, first and foremost, they invest in you as a person, your ethics, your level of preparation, and all of that. And then secondly, they invest in the asset. So first and foremost, you're the person that they invest in. Secondly, the asset itself, the property. So, you know, I was just walking through him. I think he did everything very fast. The type of personality that, as I said, got overcome a little bit with excitement. But you got to slow it down and you got to do your homework. That's how you achieve success, and you raise capital, you attract capital. So very, very important deal. What else can I say? When you're prepared, it opens doors for you as well. First of all, the stakeholders that you're working with, as I said, the lender, mortgage broker, realtor, and so on, realize that quickly you've done your homework and good things happen to you. For example, from a realtor's point of view, I never look for listings like for properties. Properties come to me, all right? And if I'm ready to buy, then I buy, but they don't hit MLS. I rarely applied or bought properties that were on MLS because my reputation precedes me. So hence, again, the need for you to be prepared in advance. So all is good. He's followed my advice after our call last week, and the last news that I just got, he's made progress with the vendor as well. I got an extension from the vendor because now he's got his ducks lined up. The mortgage broker that I connected him with has structured the deal. It's going to be an ARV, an after repairs value, if you will, because as I said, this is a project that needs a lot of TLC, a lot of upgrades. And the investor has finally decided to come 100% on board. This just happened at the 11th hour. So all is good. But again, please folks, make sure that you don't make these mistakes. Always work with multifamily specialists. Don't let emotions overcome you, and make sure you're very well prepared. You dot all your I's, you research your market, you have the data in support of your deal. Because here's the thing, first you got to convince your investors of the deal is a good deal, but then it's the same data that you need to convince the bank to give you financing. So there you go, folks. I hope this has been useful for you. A couple of things. I've got a workshop based on popular demand. I wasn't intending to have another workshop, but I'm going to have one on November 1st to the 3rd in Hamilton. So if I still have some early bird pricing, so click on the link below. You can get access to that. And secondly, I'm super excited about that. November 9, I'm going to be on the Wealth Hacker Conference in Toronto, November 9, along with Grant Cardone, and folks from Rockstar and a lot of friends of mine. It's going to be an exciting conference. Never happened before. It's the first of its type, organized by my good friend Erwin Zito. So if you want to get a discount, the coupon that I can give you a discount, I believe it's 10%. The coupon is Matterhorn. So if you put that in there, you're going to get a discount on your ticket to the Wealth Hacker Conference on November 9. Hope to see you there. If not, see you also perhaps in Hamilton on November 1st to the 3rd. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of the Canadian Multifamily Investors Insider blog post. Cheers.